it's official. The roster is out. Canada has released its 23-man roster. And today was going to be a simple day, right? We were going to talk about the roster. We talk about things, and then just little bits of news keep on coming out. There's another friendly against Mexico for Canada in September, which we'll probably have a video with our friendly video for that. You have leaks of the next Project 18 coming in. You have Concacaf's Women's Champions Cup coming through. All those things happening. And you have the Africa games that are happening. That football tournament's looking interesting. But let's talk about this roster. And I think on the surface, there's a few things you notice. 7 new names. Oldest player is Jonathan Osorio, who's 31. Everyone else is under that age. Some might call this a changing of the guard. We'll still have questions regardless, but let's go through the players. You have Theo Bair, Moïse, Bombito, Tajon Buchanan, Mathieu Chouanière, Derek Cornelius, Maxime Crépeau, Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies, Luc de Fougerel, Stephen Eustachio, Alistair Johnston, Ismail Kone, Kyle Larin, Liam Miller, Kamal Miller, Jonathan Osorio, Samuel Piet, Jason Russell-Rowe, Jacob Shaffelburg, Dayne St. Clair, Jonathan Sirois, Ike Ugbo, and Joel Waterman. That's a 23. And at first glance, you'll notice, there's no Vittoria, there's no Hoylett, there's no Milan Borjan. It was almost as if you were on X or Twitter this morning, you saw different pieces that were kind of floating around, right? You had Josh Cloak, who had the article saying, trying to run out the same people might hit you and just, hinder your development in that sense. Looking at the players, and you saw with a lot of the reaction that I think fans had. Also, guys, fans, remember, players are people too. As much as we want someone to not be on the team, they are people. If this is the last time that we ever get to see some of those players, if we never get to see them again, I mean, Hoylett's a real one. Borjan was with the program for a while. And Victoria, I mean, those are veterans, but it's the name of the game. Their service can't be overlooked, but sometimes with all things, you have to move on. And it's understandable, though. I mean, you will forget that they're people, too. They put their blood, sweat, tears into this to bring the program where it is. But it is also an opportunity for others to move in and kind of fill in. And that's a little bit of my concern with the squad. Guys, with every squad, I always like to look at it and say, what can I glean from it? What are the notes that we are missing that we might be seeing? Also, shout out to True Football for the graphic that they have. I want to try to give credit to people and what they do out here. So, when you look at the squad, how it breaks down. 3 goalkeepers, 7 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 8 forwards. Now, the interesting thing on the forward line is you have 5 strikers, right? David, Larin, Bair, Ugbo, Jason Russell-Rowe. That's 5 out-and-out strikers. Now, maybe this means that they start to go more of the route of something I've talked about in the past, which is Jonathan David dropping into that cam role. Because of the 2 9s, whenever they play that 3-5-2, he usually does drop in, and you create more of that 3-4 in the midfield, and then 2 out wide, and then 2 up top. So you could be seeing things like that, but that makes it interesting. You see players like Luc de Fougerel, Joel Waterman, players who are playing now. That could be interesting. Also, who gets the goal? Probably Maxime Crépeau. I'm curious to see. I know I was speculating a little bit earlier to see maybe they could add another friendly beforehand just to get some players run, because again, you have so many new faces coming in, but ultimately no. But this roster screams to me a 3-5-2, which is a conversation worth having. I don't know if our talent, something I've been saying post World Cup, I think Canada has a lot of talent that is emerging that doesn't fit the formation it's playing. A 3-5-2 limits, especially when you have wingers like Tajon. I know Tajon can play more as that wing back in that role, so he can track back defensively. But ultimately, you'd love to have Tajon up top, and either a player like Alphonso Davies up top or back as the wing back. I think getting some positional solidity there opens the doors for more. Also interesting, we didn't see Lucas Paz come here, but I didn't think he'd come in here. I think maybe the friendlies in June may have been the opportunities for that. But still, the idea of a 3-5-2, right? Think of the players that weren't in. Ali Ahmed, who, fullback / midfielder, who's coming back into form. Also, Sam Adekubi and Richie Larea not in. A player like Theo Corbeanu, who hasn't had the opportunity, but has been playing well more of late. Those are players where you can't play them as wingbacks because you question maybe the defensive, maybe not Ali Ahmed. But then up top, you're going to have them try to fight with strikers for playtime. That's where I think it'd be worth to have the conversation in terms of, hey, maybe a formation that allows more opportunities, which is why I've been more of a fan of a 3-4-3 or a 4-3-3/4-2-3-1, because I think that opens up the possibilities in terms of that you can still play with two strikers, have David as that de facto cam and create, but then you can have him interchange with any of the forwards and you'd be able to create some great opportunities. So looking at that does look interesting. I do wonder what it looks like. It's probably going to be a 3-5-2 going forward, though. I was watching One Soccer today, and they did play around with the idea of a 3-4-2-1 with Davies and Buchanan as those roaming free players, and then keeping Davies as the wing back. I think that'll be important. Something Trinidad did well. I mean, that's how they got their 2 goals against the U.S., those counting opportunities. And I think that's something that Canada will have to be aware of. So playing Davies in a further defensive back, but also having more of an athletic back line will certainly help them out moving forward. They did well against the U.S. They feasted on those counter opportunities. They created 4-5 opportunities, only able to put away 2. But that's something that's there, to having a little bit more of an athletic back line, but also wing backs that can track back would certainly help. Pretty curious to see how that goes off and what that looks like. And maybe somehow they fit in another friendly and they get to experiment, but more than likely, this is what you have. The roster is interesting. It's a bit of a changing of the guard. We haven't even talked about like the Scott Kennedys who couldn't make it due to fitness, and then other players moving forward. But this game is important. Most Canadians know this. Trying to solidify their position in the Copa América by making the Copa América. Trinidad won't be an easy game because they do know how to hit the low block. And so finding ways to break that will be important and imperative, but we'll see how they go. The game goes on the 23rd of March. And so that'll be a fun one to take a look at and keep an eye out. Guys, if you're Canadian, what excites you about this roster? What would your starting 11 be? Who are some omissions that you maybe wish were still on this roster? Let me know in the comments below. And again, guys, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, and we'll wrap it up right here.